Welcome back, guys. Got an interesting video for you today. This is going to actually be talking about the PC or Players Committee Fellowship format. So this is a GEMP format that is hosted by the Players Committee. What it entails is it's fellowship block, but then they have errated the banned list cards, or the X list cards, excuse me. They've introduced some new virtual cards to pump old archetypes. And then they've also just done some miscellaneous buffs and nerfs as appropriate. So, like I said, guys, usually this is played online, but I'm a Star Wars CCG player too, so I'm used to doing virtual cards and cutting out pieces of paper and putting them on cards. And so that's actually what I did here, is I printed out the few Players Committee virtual cards or errata that I needed for these decks, and printed them so that I could play these decks in real life. And so this is going to be the PC Fellowship block format, except just with real life cards. And I picked these two decks to showcase because I would say both of them received some significant help from the Players Committee. So it's Dwarves for the Free Peoples and Sauron Orcs for the Shadow. So we'll look at each of those in turn. So let's just start off with the Free Peoples. One of the big upgrades that this deck received was a new Gimli in Gimli the Vengeful Naugrim. And you'll see here is that when he bears more items, he gets bonuses. So 2 items, he gets strength +2. That's obviously very strong. And 3 items, he gets an additional damage +1 for a total of damage +2. So item is another term that was coined by the Players Committee just to mean artifact or possession. So that works with either of those things. So that's going to be one of your key companions, is this new Gimli that we can load up with items. Then to go with Gimli, most of the Dwarves basically just received a strength pump of +1. So here's Gloin, similar, but he's going to start with a base power of 6 and then can increase for each dwarven tail that you spot. So that's going to be our starting companions, just along with Frodo, old Bilbo's heir with Isildur's Bane. So there's our starting fellowship. Then for companions in our deck, like I said, we did get some pumps to the power of these dwarves. So you'll see here, kind of these were, again, PC errata. That's what that signifies. I didn't mention that when we were looking at our starting fellowship, but that's kind of the difference here, is this indicates errata versus Gimli doesn't have that, obviously no errata symbol, but he does have the V1 down there, so he's part of virtual set 1. So the other 2 dwarves that did get some pump to them is Farron and Fror. Again, these are the ones that get power bonuses when skirmishing an orc or a Uruk-hai, but it helps that they both start off as a base power 6 instead of a base power 5. So we're playing both of those guys. So that's our 4 dwarves, is Fror and Farron, Gimli, Gloin. So those are what we're running for dwarves. Then for other cultures companions, just for splashing, it's going to be your usual suspects of Legolas Greenleaf, Aragorn Ranger of the North, and Sam Son of Hamfast. You're not going to get much better than these 3 guys, obviously. So they round out our fellowship. Then in terms of some allies that we do play here, has a little bit of an ally theme to this deck as well. Fairly modest, but a bit of a theme. So for some card draw, we do have Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, and this one is the PC errata version to help neuter him a little bit. We've got a couple of those. And then to go with Elrond, we have Celeborn, again, just to do some more healing and pair those 2 together. So we've got those elf allies. For dwarf allies, we have Theron Dwarfensmith, of course. And one thing always remember, Theron can hold an axe if you have an extra axe to throw on him. Help you cycle. And Bounder. again, we're running Old Bilbo's Heir, so Bounder's really a no-brainer here. So those are allies. For our artifacts and possessions, again, we're running a decent bit of those with the Gimli tech that we mentioned. So first off, we are running a couple Dwarven Axes. Again, this got errata, but it was just for the discarding part, so it's still a 0-cost 2-power pump, so this is still a great card. So we've got a couple Dwarven Axes. We've got Gimli's personal battle axe, and Vilya for Elrond, and more Dwarven possessions in Dwarven Bracers, as well as Hand Axe. So again, you got a couple of each of those. So again, the goal would be you get Gimli with a Bracers, an Axe, and, a Bracers, a Hand Axe, and a Battle Axe. Hand Axe, as you may know, says it can be born in addition to another possession. So you've got the Bracers, the additional hand weapon, the hand weapon, and then you get that stacked on there. That's an additional 4 power just off of the possessions, and then Gimli would be a base 6, plus he would have the additional 2 power off of his text. That get him up to a whopping 12 power, and then he would also be damage plus 3 because his axe, his text, and his native damage plus 1. So you just have a huge beast of a Gimli, and then you got pumps for that too, so that can just wipe minions just completely off the table with that high of power and that high of damage. So that's kind of the strategy there. And lastly, we do have the Gimli's Helm, just again to reduce wounds and just as nice 0-cost possession. And for Frodo, we do have Sting, again, errata version. And that puts us to the end of our possessions. And then to round out the deck, we've got our conditions and events. So starting off with the conditions, we do have some tails in here to help pump our Gloin. So we've got the Song of Durin. This is great against Moria. If you're not familiar with that, really makes it punishing for them to try to play possessions in a 0-cost condition. And these just heal a dwarf when you move off an underground site. But again, 0-cost conditions, just great to throw down and cycle and get that pump off of Gloin. So we got 3 of those. And I guess this is technically a possession, not a condition, but it is a tail. And again, this is just a card draw at site 4 or higher. And lastly, Shoulder to Shoulder. I believe they did just issue a new errata on this card, but the general concept is the same of exerting dwarfs to heal elves or vice versa. So that's where those allies provide nice synergy, because you can exert an elf ally to heal a dwarf companion, because it doesn't specify that they have to be companions. So that really makes those elf allies very valuable to you to be able to get healing off of them. And lastly, our events. We've got the Flurry of Blows. Got 3 of those. That's again because we're going to be bearing 2 hand weapons in an ideal scenario, and so you're going to get strength plus 4 and damage plus 1. So that's just a fantastic pump. And then Secret Sentinels for condition control, utilizing our elf allies. So pretty nice fellowship there. Again, I took that deck list off of one of the winning tournament players on GEMP. I'm blanking on who it is, so credit to whomever's deck list that was, but not an original by me by any means, but I just thought it'd be fun to share and talk a little bit about the Fellowship PC format. So I'm going to go ahead actually and break this video now, and we'll show the Sauron Orc in a little more detail next time. That'll just give us a little more time to talk tech about that. I'll go ahead and flash the site path here for you and just talk about some of the key sites for the Fellowship, and we'll do the same next week with the Sauron Orcs. But you got Prancing Pony to pull Aragorn. You've got the Midwater Marshes. That's kind of a wounding site because it makes hobbits exert. That's more for the Sauron Orcs. random companion pump there on the Rivendell Gateway. That is a virtual site, by the way. Great for dwarves then, of course, is the underground sites. So we've got the Dwarfendell Chamber and, of course, Bridge of Khazad-dûm. Karis Gladhorn for anti-swarm. This is also a new virtual site. Again, it's going to be more with the Sauron orcs that we're talking about next time, because this is just a wounding. Helps with wounding. Again, helps with wounding. And again, helps with the minions. So as you see, a lot of the sites are minion-based, primarily. Prancing Pony is your big one, as well as Karis Gladhorn is the main sites that help out your fellowship. So thanks for watching that, guys. Like I said, we'll go ahead and break the video here at this point just to keep it not so long for you guys. And then next week we're kind of go into the strategy with the Sauron orc wounding and what some of the buffs the PC provided for that strategy. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.